Now let's be honest, there are so many mysteries and wonders in this world, and a lot of them just cannot be answered or solved. But for me and my channel, the biggest mystery is why you guys love the videos where I turn random objects into people. That is something that till this day I just cannot understand. But anyways, I recently posted a video where I turned fruits into humans, and since you guys love that so much, I decided to go ahead and turn flowers into humans today. So our very first victim, flower, is called the bird of paradise flower. And this flower is so unique because I think the reason it got its name is because it kind of looks like it has a beak and hence looks like it's a bird, which is honestly something I would never ever expect to see. Like a flower named bird, that's pretty crazy. Now obviously for this challenge I could have done simple things like a sunflower, a rose, and a daisy. But hey, hold on, what's the fun in that? Those are really simple, plus I can do them anytime I want, but today I wanted to try something just a bit more different and a bit more unique. Firstly, the flowers that I picked today will have pretty unique colors, and secondly, as you can tell by the first one, it has a pretty unique name as well. Also, last time when I turned fruits into humans, I went with really kind of simple, casual clothing ideas, but today we're going full glam, full kind of prom gown, princessy style, because that's what we want, and let's see how that goes. Now, as you can tell with the birds of paradise flower, firstly, bird, so that's why I decided to go ahead and draw a little bird. But secondly, I also noticed how the petals are kind of like pointy, but not too pointy. So I decided to make this dress nice and sleek, and then I decided to go ahead and add some kind of pointy pattern on top of it that kind of like replicated the look of the petals, but more on that later once we start coloring. And with the hairstyle, I decided to go with a simple bun because I love buns. They're really cute, really nice, and they just remind me of Cinderella. They are perfect. And with that, I think it's time for our next flower. So the next flower is called the Swan River Daisy. It's pretty much a daisy, but it's purple, so yes, it is not basic, it's a bit more fancy. And I really wanted to do this flower because I wanted to make sure that all three of these drawings kind of fit within the same color scheme. Okay, so you might be thinking, sure, the first flower has an orange and blue color scheme, this one has a purple color scheme, how exactly do they make sense? Well, to explain, pretty much my concept going into this, and I thought it was a really smart concept, was that orange and blue are complementary colors, meaning they're on the opposite side of the color wheel. But I noticed with the birds of paradise flower that maybe if I could emphasize the purple tones in the blue parts of the flower, that I could get the color scheme to be more of something that involved orange, pink, and purple, which are more analogous colors. And that was my concept, but that kind of ended up failing a bit, but don't worry, more on that later once we start coloring. Also, because the Swan River Daisy flowers were so puffy and kind of fluffy, I decided to give this wonderful girl a nice fluffy gown, which honestly, I would love to wear it myself. This is actually my second take for this drawing challenge. In the first take, I tried drawing a guy, it failed dramatically, so let's just stick with three girls for now. And now the third flower is called a plumeria flower, I think, and as you can tell, it comes in lots of different variations, but I want to focus on this one because as you can tell, it has orange and pink in the color scheme, and if I mix a bit of purple in with that, it would match perfectly with the other two characters, or at least that's what I thought at this point in time. You know, I really shouldn't have jinxed it, but this sketch took me 3 minutes. Overall, all the sketches took me about 10 minutes for each of these drawings, which was like, it kind of felt really easy and everything was just going too well. Even with the line art, everything went pretty good. And I guess that's why by the time we got to coloring, everything just went a bit crazy and it just got a bit chaotic and it went like a bit of a disaster. But for now, let's enjoy this perfect, peaceful sketching stage where everything is going according to plan. I also decided to give this character a bit of like an Elsa style hairstyle. Wow, that sounds a bit weird. Elsa style hairstyle. What I meant to say was a hairstyle that looks similar to Elsa's because I thought it would look really pretty and elegant with the ball gown, which it did. I think I also showed you guys how to draw this hairstyle in my hair drawing tutorial as well, so if you'd like to check it out, feel free to do so after this video. Anyways though, like I was saying, at this point everything was going pretty good, pretty well. We got the sketch done and the faces are looking pretty good. And then I went ahead, grabbed my kneaded eraser, lightened the sketch, and started doing the line art. I'm gonna be honest, sometimes when I'm working on a drawing, I do tend to mess up, but it's usually fine because I've probably spent like 10 minutes or 20 minutes or like maximum half an hour working on that drawing, so it doesn't feel like a big loss. But with this drawing, I spent so many hours working on it, and considering how everything was going great until the coloring, it was truly frustrating. But what really helped me was to take a break in between and come back and look at it with a fresh set of eyes. That really kind of gave me the motivation not to give up and to stay in perspective. I will say though, doing the line art for this drawing was super duper satisfying because I took off the pressure of being perfect and I allowed myself to have some random breaks in between my lines, to double up on some lines and just be really kind of loose with my line art. And because of that, the entire process of outlining was so much fun. If I were to do this challenge again, there are a couple of things I would do differently, so listen up because here are some tips for anybody thinking of doing this challenge as well. Firstly, I would separate the 3 drawings because it just adds too much pressure to have them all looking cohesive on one page. Like, I had to keep thinking about things like how I would make the color palette line up and their dress designs line up, and because of that, I feel like I kind of lost some creative freedom. Secondly, don't just look at the actual flower, but look at the name of the flower as well. That can give you a lot of cool ideas. And thirdly, try your best not to limit yourself. So I kind of subconsciously gave myself some limits here, which kind of did, I guess, take away that creative freedom. The first limit was that I chose to make all these dresses look formal, which kind of kept me from doing other things and experimenting with different types of looks. Secondly, I limited myself in terms of the color palette, which was kind of annoying. And thirdly, I accidentally limited myself with space, which meant that I couldn't experiment with different poses and stuff. But yeah, those are just some things to keep in mind for our next time. Anyways, with that, our line art is officially done and the drawing looks pretty good at this point as well. I really wish I could be like Hermione, have a time turner and go back in time to fix up my mistakes. But no, here we go, diving right in. Okay, so to play it nice and safe, I went ahead and started off with a super pastel pink color, so that way I could adjust it to look more pinkish or orangish as I went. Then I went ahead and tried to add some shading with a red color. Unfortunately, the red color was a bit too dark, which meant I couldn't blend it out perfectly. So at this point, I decided to go ahead and add in some orange color just to make it look more like the actual petals of the flower. But now the thing is, my plan is to go ahead and color the veil purple. But at the same time, I don't want the veil and the dress to look completely isolated because the two colors are just completely different. So then I decided to go ahead and try bring some pink tones in the dress, but whenever I layered pink on top, it just looked more orangish and less pink. And that's when the troubles started to happen. So then I took a light pink marker and laid it all over the dress to make it more lighter. It kind of did, but then once I added in the purple, as you can tell, they just don't look good together. They're just completely different colors. And then I tried grabbing out my Artex acrylic paint pen, the pink one, to see if I could just cover up the orangishness and make it look more pink. But the problem is, for this drawing challenge, I'm trying to turn the flower into a person. So that's why I decided to go ahead and add some orange shading just to bring back those orange tones. But it just looks way too plain and I don't like it that much. So then I tried something a little bit crazy. Since we are going for a full glam look, I decided to grab my glitter gel pens and layer on top to see if I could make the dress look a bit more better and detailed. But the problem here is that it still made the dress look orange, and the orange just is not working with the purple veil. So I decided to take a quick break right there on the spot by working on our next character, which was much more easier and much more fun because this character is pretty much monochromatic in terms of the dress colors. It's pretty much just purple. So there we go, coloring with a nice light purple color without the fear of messing up, unlike the very first character. But the entire time I was working on this character, I couldn't like stop myself from looking at the character on the left and just hating myself for how ugly the dress looks. but that's alright. I kept deciding to reevaluate my ideas and think of something better. Something I am really proud of though is the top part of this dress. I think it just looks so fancy and pretty, and it's really unique because it's not something you'd often see. I just really love the concept of this drawing. Now, I do love the concept, but I'm not sure if it's practical. Regardless, the concept is pretty good, can't lie. And I will say though, once we started shading, the flower just started to have so much more dimension and so much more depth, and honestly, I love that a lot. Okay, and taking another quick break just to go back and fix up the first drawing, I decided to go ahead and blend out the glittery parts so that it's all even, and then I tried using my orange Artex marker to see if that does anything. Kind of added a bit of depth, so then I grabbed the pink one again just to layer it on top and to make this drawing, I guess, just better in any way. I had no vision going into this, I just wanted to improve it in any way possible. The ink from the glitter pen was still a bit wet, which did make it a bit of a hassle, but I didn't give up and I kept going and I kept pushing through. But then I decided to take another break. Now the coloring for this is a different story on its own. So starting it off, I was going ahead and using the same colors as I could see on the flowers, meaning a light pink and then some purple for shading and some orange as well. But then I tried to make it match more with the first character because again, I wanted the page to be kind of cohesive and make sense. And eventually what happened was I completely ended up diverging from the main colors of the actual flower itself. And because of that, I decided that, you know what, let's just leave it. The third character doesn't have to be a different flower. The third character can also be a bird of paradise flower as well. And there we go. Long story short, I pretty much decided to go ahead and turn 2 flowers into humans instead of 3. So we have 2 characters inspired by the bird of paradise flower, and we have 1 character inspired by our Swan River purple daisy flower. That was a mouthful to say. And what I decided to do was I pretty much decided to copy or like kind of replicate the same process that I used on the left side, on the right side as well, so that we get a similar kind of look. And then I just kind of ended up going back and forth, adding details, changing things, defining things, working on things, layering things. It was just a lot of experimentation, a lot of just kind of going with the flow and making sure we have something that works and looks like the actual flower. Now, while most of the coloring process did kind of increase my cortisol, probably because of how stressful it was, eventually things did begin to calm down and get better, and it was going pretty good until something crazy happened again. Yay! I think I was just destined for bad luck throughout the coloring process. So as you can see, the skin tone here looks pretty good on camera, but in real life it did not look good. It was a super bright orange and it looked like she was some kind of fruit, which is not what I was going for. So I went ahead and layered that with a different skin tone, which actually looked pretty good. And on the character on this side, I used a more desaturated skin tone, which helped me make her skin look more like skin and less like our bright, vibrant sun. Okay, sure, so we've gotten past that obstacle, which means we're pretty much ready for a home run, right? Right. No, that's not right. What happened was, with the skin tone of our first character, it ended up looking pretty much like the exact same color of the dress, which didn't look good because there wasn't any contrast, and since the dress was already kind of a tight fit dress, you really couldn't tell the skin apart from the dress, which is not what we wanted. So I decided to go ahead and grab this purple marker to add a bit of texture on the dress on the left as well as the dress on the right, which is such a good decision because ultimately I was able to get a pattern that kind of replicated the pattern of the petals. And with that, I think we pretty much tackled all of the big problems. After this, I colored the hair, added some white gel pen highlights, colored in the background, added some flower stickers, and beyond that point, everything was pretty much smooth sailing. Now, it is truly crazy to me just how chaotic this process was, because usually when something is this chaotic, you can see it coming from the very start, like the sketching fails, the line art fails, and you can just see it coming, and ultimately the final drawing just doesn't end up looking as good as you might have expected. But with this drawing, it was completely different. Like, the sketch was fine, the line art was fine, the coloring is where everything went wrong, and to my surprise, the final drawing actually looks good. Like, what? In the end, all these dresses look super fashionable. The glitter gel pen added a really cool look to the dresses. And the page actually does look pretty good on the whole, which is something I'm really proud of. So even though this process was completely crazy and we ended up doing 2 Birds of Paradise flower characters, it turned out looking alright. By the way, if you've managed to watch the video this far without skipping or forwarding anything, make sure to comment this emoji down below. Anyways guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and maybe if I end up doing another video like this one, I will take my own feedback on board and do it a tiny bit differently. Anyways guys, have a fabulous day, stay awesome as always, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!